Kia ora koutou. I hope you and your families are well after the recent civil emergency. Now we're back into another bout of distance learning. For some of you, this might have been a challenge last year, but please get into it and we'll try to get through this week and hopefully be back in the classroom next week. Now we're going to kick off by reviewing last Friday's homework. Last Friday's homework was to write a paragraph explaining why basic needs and psychological needs, per Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which we studied last week, how these basic and psychological needs must be satisfied before someone can reach their full potential. And on the screen in front of us, we'll see Maslow's hierarchy of needs, with physiological needs at the bottom with safety needs, being part of basic needs, with belongingness and love and esteem needs, those psychological needs, and right at the top of the hierarchy is self-actualization, which involves people reaching their creative potential. Now I've come up with something of a sample answer here, and I do note that the question being a paragraph one, there will be a lot of scope for variation in how you present your answer. So if you'd like to pause the screen and take a moment to read my sample answer there, along with your own answer which you would have completed for homework. Now, having unpaused the screen and compared your answer to the sample answer I've presented in front of you, hopefully they're fairly similar. But if not, there's some key things that we'll just run through. So a key point is that it's very difficult for someone to reach their potential if they are struggling with their basic needs. Their basic needs being food, water, warmth, rest, security, and safety, because without these basic needs being satisfied, there's the likelihood that a person would die from a lack of energy, from sustenance, from dehydration, and an exposure to environmental hazards. Now, environmental hazards could be cold weather, perhaps too hot weather, too much rain, snow, wild animals. Not that we have too many dangerous animals in New Zealand. Once basic needs are satisfied, we are on the way to being in a position to reach our potential. However, we have psychological needs that need to be satisfied before someone's in a position to reach their creative potential. Because without feeling supported by others, which relates to the belongingness and love and social needs, people are unlikely to be in a psychological state where they're able to devote adequate attention and energy towards their creative endeavors. Additionally, without having self-esteem, so feeling respected, that sense of accomplishment and recognition from your peers, your community, or your pack, a person with low self-esteem is unlikely to be in that psychological, mental state where they can consider and explore and reach their creative potential. So once people are feeling physically and psychologically satisfied, then they have the spare capacity to really stretch their creative potential and overall reach that state of self-actualization. Now, on slide 6 of BEA PowerPoint 1, which you're going to find uploaded to the final section on our GrammarNet page, we have a second video on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you feel like you need to brush up a bit on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, feel free to follow the link below on that slide 6 and watch the YouTube video on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this one's a little bit more detailed than the one we watched on Friday, and it could be helpful for those who have struggled with this topic. That said, hopefully come Monday next week, we'll have an opportunity to answer some questions that people might have on this. Okay, the next topic within Unit 1 is having a look at the economic problem. So just a bit of a starter here. Let's talk about resources. Our world has finite resources. So resources are things around us and innate within us that we can use to help satisfy our needs and wants. So these finite resources, examples being wood, and wood, if you look around right now, potentially in the room that you're in, you'll have wooden furniture. Within the walls, there'll be wooden framing. There might be cladding that's made of wood. Outside, there could be wood ornaments. Outside in your garden, decking, and so on and so forth. Minerals, we're talking about rocks here and iron, gold, and these things are obviously critical in the production of electronics and also construction. The likes of steel will likely also be right throughout the building that you're in at the moment. Water, well, we've had too much of water recently, but water being critical to our survival. Water is also a key input to the production of energy in New Zealand. It's also a key input into the production of many goods and services around the country. So hey, think about window cleaning. So if you've got some spare time on your hand, perhaps get a bit of water and soap and go do a bit of cleaning for mum and dad at home, People, well, perhaps people are the most key resource. We're basically talking computers, and people are capable of all kinds of marvelous things. Animals, animals are resources. Some people may have even eaten some animals today. I certainly know that I've had a little bit of chicken. But animals, not only can we eat them, but they can also, their energy can be harnessed and used. So think about horses drawing the likes of carriages. Not that we see that too often in New Zealand these days, but certainly animals are still used all around the world to help move other resources from A to B. Money, it's a bit of a man-made resource, but there's a bit more behind the story of money that we're going to be coming to later in this course. Machines, machines has become more and more advanced as a species. The marvelous machines that we're inventing are a critical resource. And right now I'm sitting on a machine, that being my laptop. So we have these finite resources. They are limited. There's not an infinite, endless amount of these resources. And we use these to help satisfy what we need and want. So think about that Maslow's hierarchy of needs and of needs as well when we start talking about the economic problem and needs and wants. From an individual perspective, yes, we do have resources, but these are very much constrained. So money, and for most people, we earn money through using our labor and exchanging our efforts, our endeavor, our energy in the workplace. We exchange it with the employer. In return, they give us money via wages. Time is also a resource, and we know how finite time is. The fountain of youth, as far as I know, has not been discovered. So there is a time limit for all of us. There's only 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, unless it's a leap year, so on and so forth. Time is finite, and we especially appreciate that on the weekend. skills, we're also limited in the skills that we can accrue over our lifetime. So despite me wanting to be a better golfer, I find myself limited in time to chase the improvements in my golf game, along with a whole host of other skills that I'm defective in, and my wife has given me feedback on my cooking skills as well. But perhaps if I had more time, I might be a bit better at my golf and my cooking. So needs and wants, these are two other key definitions as part of economics, and starting off with the economic problem. Needs are things that we need in order to survive. So these will be linked up with the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Food, water, and shelter. If we don't satisfy our needs, well, frankly, we are going to die. Wants, these are a bit more discretionary in the sense that they're not necessary. We desire them because we like them. We enjoy consuming these wants. So going to the movies is a want. We can survive without going to the movies, but it gives us satisfaction. So a central assumption when we look at the economic problem is that human wants are unlimited. We could always have another fashion accessory, another game, another piece of sports equipment, another fun experience. And humans have an endless capacity for satisfaction and fun. But we are constrained by our finite resources. So we can't possibly get everything we could possibly want. Even the world's billionaires are constrained by time. So the economic problem, so going back to the title of the previous slide, it refers to the management of scarce resources, so scarce being finite, limited in nature. It's how we manage our scarce resources to best satisfy unlimited wants and needs. So we have an economy. An economy is a system in which people are interacting with each other to exchange resources with each other, where it could be time and labor and energy, to exchange that for money, so that they're able to satisfy wants and needs. But there is a finite, limited amount of resources in society, so not everyone is able to satisfy all wants and needs. So not everybody is able to go and watch the All Blacks play rugby, because there's a finite amount of space and capacity to attend such games. People also have finite, limited money, financial means to be able to purchase tickets. Scarcity is another key term that we come across as part of the economic problem, and it refers to a basic issue that people are unable to satisfy their unlimited needs and wants with limited resources. It's this gap between limited resources and our limitless wants and needs. So when we talk about the economic problem, we're considering how can we best use limited or scarce resources to satisfy society's unlimited wants and needs. Economic choice. Economic choice is where an individual or firm or government makes a selection from a range of alternatives. So different course of action, and they decide to choose one course of action using their limited means. Or from personal perspective, how am I going to spend my money to buy what food? Another little key concept here is that in our capitalistic free market society, and we'll talk about that a bit more, is resources are generally allocated by the price mechanism. The price of resources guides them into the hands of those willing to pay the most. And here we've got an auction for a horse. Those who value the horse will be the one who are willing to pay the issues